Hi, it's Grandma from Grandma's Footsteps. Today we're going to make this cute little Santa decoration for you and give you some ideas of other designs that you can make using the same basic techniques. Okay, so we start off with a nice piece of core wool, which I'm sort of flattening out a little bit, and I'm going to roll up. I decided halfway through that it was too long and not thick enough at the bottom, so I'm now folding in the bottom part while I roll it to make it more of a cone shape. We just stab to attach it together and then just continue to keep stabbing to make a cone shape with a flat bottom. That's what we're aiming for. Just continue stabbing. I'm using two different needles. I like my fine needles, but I shall probably swap to the a larger needle shortly, just to get it a little bit more felted. It doesn't have to be exceedingly firm, but you do want some firmness to it because you're going to be adding some details. You can see it's beginning to take shape now. Lovely cone shape with a flat bottom. That's basically what we're aiming for, so you know, just keep stabbing until you get to that. You can use a multi-tool if you're happy using one. I tend to like to use a single needle, but I do sometimes just have a go with the clover tool. And you can see that while I'm doing this, I am constantly turning it and moving it so that I'm not stabbing in the same place. And now I'm adding a little bit more to what will be the bottom because I want a fatter bottom. And just adding some more wool there. You can add more wool anytime you like and anywhere you like to get a shape that you're happy with. It's really beginning to take shape now. It does take quite a while to needle felt the basic core shape, but you get a good core shape and the rest of it is a lot easier. Now I used the clover tool to try and flatten the bottom a little more because it's got to stand on its bottom, so you want it as flat as you can possibly get it. Alright, and now we add some colour. This is a red bat, carded bat. I prefer to use carded wool for most of this, but you'll see that I do actually use some merino or tops, mostly for the white bits. But the carded bats just make it so much easier to cover, and it's a lot quicker. So I'm just covering it. I could have covered it probably in one huge piece, but I prefer to do it in sections. I find I have more control over it then, over which bit, so that you don't get sort of thick bits and a lot more thin bits. So I do have a couple of thin bits on here, and I will be adding some wool over the top of them later, so that the white doesn't show through. And here we go, 3 pieces there, and I've virtually got him completely covered. You could of course make the whole cone out of the red wool if you prefer, but I like to use the core wool, which of course is cheaper, and then keep my top coats for top coats. I save myself a little bit of money. There we go, even I prick my finger occasionally, in fact quite a lot, but not always on video. There we go, just nicely shaping it. You can see that I'm trying to work out now where the hat is going to end, and then I'm going to get a bit of white merino tops and pull it into a long sausage, and that's going to go there to make the brim of the hat. So this decides, how big, how tall your hat's going to be, how long your body of your Santa's going to be. But it's quite simple. You just lay it on. If you're not sure, lay it on in a couple of places, wind it round without needle felting it, and that will give you a good idea of the dimensions of your finished article. And when you find a place you like, just gently put a few stabs into it to hold it in position, and then you'll notice that I'm needle felting along the edge, and attaching it along the edge, but I'm also going up and down along the edge, which makes it stand out a little bit, and makes it look more like a fur trim, because it's sort of making it stand out a bit more, sort of fluff. Well, not fluffy, but yeah, but it sticks out. So, and that's what we want there, because if it was a fur covering for a hat, that is what you would get, a fur edging. So just keep on stabbing it in and smoothing it out till you're happy with it. Sorry, just taking a quick drink there. There we go. I'm getting a lot happier with that now, but mostly stab at the edges. I mean, I've put a few stabs in the middle just to make sure that it sticks properly, but you just really want to needle felt it at the edges and try to get that nice smooth line, particularly at the bottom of the hat there. And now we're going to add his belt. As soon as I'm happy with the shape, you can, I mean, you will keep refining the shape as you go along, as I do. As you're turning it and doing other things, you will notice bits and pieces that don't look quite how you want them. Maybe there's a little bit where it's showing through from underneath, or you don't quite like the shape, and yeah, just keep refining it until you're happy with the shape. I'm just getting myself some wool here to make his belt. And here we go. Now what I'm doing now is I'm turning it round till I decide which side is the best, which side looks the best, so that I can use that as the front. And the belt goes approximately halfway between the hat and the bottom, but it's entirely up to you where you want to put it. You might want to make him look a little bit different by putting his belt either higher or lower, but I just tend to put it right straight down the middle. It didn't go quite all the way round, so I will add some bits to make it so that he goes all the way round. Nicely felted in. Now with this one you don't have to just felt the edges, because the belt would be flatter, so flatter than the band on the hat, so you can just needle felt it down. It's got to be a little bit proud of the body, but you know, just felt it down, because it's a flat belt basically. There we go, nearly done. And again, I'm just doing some refining there. Wasn't quite happy with the hat. If I see something that I'm not quite happy with, I do go to fix it straight away, because otherwise by the time you finish doing the bit that you're doing, you've probably forgotten where it is or what needs doing. So I do tend, when I find something I'm not happy with, to fix it straight away and then go back to the main job that I was doing. Okay, now we're going to make the beard. So a nice piece of the merino tops there, I smooth it out. You want it fluffy at both ends, so no cutting, just pulling it out. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold it in half. Okay, get it as even as you can, because it's going to go there. Right, so you folded it in half. Now unfold it so that you've got the halfway mark there, and you needle felt firmly just under the hat band, just underneath the hat band there, and you need to give it a good stabbing along there. You need it to stay, so nice firm stabbing. There we are, and you pull it down, and what I'm doing is I'm pulling it and shaping it all the time. I give it a bit of extra stabbing along the top because we want it to stay nice and firmly. And then we start to needle felt down the edges. Again, you want this to be to stand out from the body, so you don't want to flatten it. I do put a few stabs into the center part just to make sure that it is staying there, but mostly you just want it to be attached around the edges and obviously the top. There, a few stabs just to make sure that it does stay put. And now you can see that I'm shaping it down. I'm making it narrower as we go down, but I'm making sure that it's well attached at the top, so that when we're pulling on it to shape it, it's not going to come away. And there we are. We're just making it thinner, narrower as you go to the bottom, and now we're going to put a bit of a curve into it. Again, just needle felting the very edges. And here we go. Down. Nice curve. And then round at the bottom and back up, and I like to end it at the belt so that it looks as if it's tucked in, that the end of his beard is tucked into his belt. It's what it looks like when it's done. I mean, obviously you don't have to do that, I just love the way it looks. So as you can see there, I've finished off the beard at the edge of the belt to make it look like it's tucked up. And there you have his beard. You can obviously refine it as much as you want to, and yeah, do whatever you like. If you make the beard differently at all, or if you wish to, you can put a square of yellow wool in the center of his belt to make like a buckle. You'll see there I was just sort of pulling the edge of the hat down a little bit just to make sure that it comes down right down to his to his beard there. Yep. And smoothing it out, making sure that it's well attached on the edges. Alright, I like to smooth it out with my finger. And there's your beard. Lovely. I'm now going to try to put a bit more shape into the hat. I like the tip of the hat to be sort of bending over, and so I'm now just putting some needle felting there into that area, so that it will go down, and just needle felt it into the position that I want. Basically, I do it on both sides of the hat, and I want it to look good from both sides, and a bit more refining on the hat shape, but basically that's what we need there to get it to go where we want it. There we are, quite happy with that. You don't have to bend it over. You can bend it over to either side, you can bend it backwards, you can bend it forward. There's a lot of different ways you can do it too. You know, if you wanted to make several of them, you can make them all look slightly different by the way you bend their hats or don't bend their hats. But this is the way I like to do it. There we are, just making it a bit neater. Yep. There we go. I'm just doing a little bit more work on the hat until I'm totally happy with the shape. I felt that it was a bit fat in the middle there. Didn't quite do what I wanted it to do, so I'm just giving it a little bit more of a stabbing there. And using my fine needle just to smooth it off a little. Yeah, a lot happier with that. And now for Santa's nose. Now you can do the nose in a flesh colour, a pink or a red, whichever you prefer. You can see here I'm making the piece that I've picked smaller and smaller because I want a big nose, but I don't want a huge nose. You can do the nose however you like. I mean, you could have a sticky out nose, make it into an oval shape and have it sticking out. You can have it bent upwards, bent downwards, or whatever you like. I like to have a little round button nose, but yeah, so you just make a ball and attach it again round the edges, and we will go through the centre a little bit just to with my fine needle, just to make sure that it is attached and give it a nice round shape. So yeah, there's numerous things you can do as far as the nose is concerned with the different colours and the different shapes. Experiment, see what you like. If you don't like it, you can take it off and start again. That's the beauty of needle felting, it's very forgiving. I just like to give it a little bit of a smooth over, just to make it look. There he is. Yeah, pinch his nose to make it stand out a little bit more. And now a small piece of white, and this is actually not roving tops, it's actually a piece of carded bat, and we're going to make the ball on the end of his hat. Now if you have some small white pom-poms, you can use one, you can glue it onto the top of his hat. I prefer to needle felt them because I think the pom-poms don't always stay when you glue them, but you know, you can do that if you wish. Now if you were going to put a hanger on Santa here, what you can do is, while you're putting the white wool onto his hat, you get a piece of the string that you want to use to hang it up and tie it into a loop, make a loop, and then you put the white wool through the loop before you start needle felting, and then you needle felt the pom-pom down, and that will hold the string in place, because you're needle felting through the center of the loop and both sides, and it does hold. I tend to put the wool through where the knot is so that I can hide the knot, but that, you know, you don't have to do that, you can have the knot at the top. There we have it, there's his hat. Just a few final refinements there. And now I'm going to make his feet. Now this is quite embarrassing. I did actually do it wrong and have to take them off, and you'll see that it stops and starts again, but I basically tried to attach them before they were firm enough. But if you watch, you'll see how I did actually finish them off. So I started off with 2 black pieces of carded wool and just making a sort of an oval shape, really, or an egg shape. Needle felt on both sides, and don't forget to lift it off your mat every so often. I've got this piece of vegetable matter that keeps coming back to haunt me. It keeps getting caught up on everything. And here I'm just trying them. I'm trying them for size, just to see whether I think they're about the right size. They look fairly good. And now I'm just adding more and more wool to make them firmer, because they weren't firm enough, and I did try to attach them, and it was a disaster. So just firming them up, making them thicker, adding a nice bit of wool, make them look more like boots. Just keep adding the wool and keep felting until you're happy with them. There we are, sit them on, have a look, see what you think. There we go, and I'm just needle felting along the edge of his coat there to start to attach them, and then turn him upside down and do a good needle felting through the bottom of the feet to get them to stay on. There, as you can see. And I continue to shape them all the time until I'm completely happy with them. But just make sure they get well attached. You can needle felt through the bottom of his coat, because we're going to be putting a white band on it. And now I've just got a bit of the red wool there, and I'm just needle felting across his bottom to cover the rough bits of his shoes, but also to help keep it on, give it a bit more oomph. And yeah. And now if you've got a smaller pad like this, you can actually turn him upside down so that you can needle felt on the bottom of his feet. I do that quite a lot. It's also very useful if you have your animals and you want to needle felt sort of like the inside of their legs or whatever. You can use it on top of another pad, and it really helps. And then once I've got the feet as I want them, I use a small amount of a mixture of PVA glue, water, and a couple of drops of washing up liquid. And here you go, I'm just smoothing it over now, and it makes them a little bit more stiff, and it also controls the fluff, because you don't want so much fluff on your shoes, really, do you? So that's done that. And now another piece of the merino tops, and we're going to put the fur around the bottom of his coat. So round the bottom we go. Make it nice and smooth. And again, we needle felt just a little bit into the middle, but mostly we're going to be needle felting the edges. Now I've got a little bit too much there, so we just pull off a little bit. Smooth it down. Bring the other end round. Obviously attach it. We don't want too much poking in the middle, because it will flatten it, and you want it to be nice and domed shape, really. Okay, and we attach it all the way round. At the end of the video, I'll show you a picture of some other designs that I've made using the same techniques, but slightly other designs, although I did give them dangly legs rather than putting the shoes on at the bottom there. So just have a look, and it gives you some ideas. I think I've got a penguin, a robin, an elf, a Santa, a snowman. Yeah, so have a look for yourself, and you can see what I've got. There we are. He's nearly done. Nearly done. And it's quite a quick and easy project. Of course, you can make them any size you want. The ones I'm going to show you at the end are smaller, and they've got the hangers on to hang onto a Christmas tree. But you could make a big one. You could make it much bigger to just stand on the table, or whatever you want. It's the basic technique stays the same regardless of the size. I've even made a very tiny one and put it inside one of those plastic baubles that you can buy that come in two halves, and that looks quite amusing. But that is tiny. And there he is, Saint Nicholas, Santa Claus, Father Christmas, whatever you want to call him. There he is. I'll give you a close-up look of him in just a sec. There we are, and there he is finished. And now I'll show you some of the other designs that I've made using the same techniques. The picture will come up in just a moment. There we are, and there's my other design. But it's all using the same basic techniques there to make them. So